Welcome to Will Talks. Today we have this amazing gentleman with us. His name is Anoop Kurup. Anoop Kurup has been super active on a platform, an audio platform that I keep going to, and I've listened to so much of his discourse and around marketing, about B2B businesses, about digital marketing, about online reputation management. And I have learned so much from this gentleman. And I got in touch with him and I said, "Hey, Anoop, would you be happy to be on the podcast?" And he very graciously said yes. So with extreme amount of gratitude, I wanted to introduce you to Anoop. And I wanted to share that he has several years of experience in marketing, in brand building, in crafting customer journeys, making companies successful. I'm going to let Anoop tell us more about where he's come from, how he got here, and anything else that he wants to set the context for today's conversation.
Hey, thanks. Happy to be here at Will Talks. And I'm so grateful to you that you came down all the way to Bangalore and we are having this discussion. It's an interesting question to ask, what's been my journey, because it's been an unusual one. I'm not a marketer by education. I did not start my career here. I'm a lab-grown creature. I was a chemical engineer, educated as one, and started my career in GE Plastics, and then moved into something called as GE Global Research. Was trained in intellectual property rights as well as research analysis, etc. So a lot of work there. At one point, I said I should venture out and do something on my own. So got out, and then I said, what should I do? It's like you build a parachute while you're falling off the cliff. That's what entrepreneurship is. And that's been my experience too. And I started around 2005, then this journey of entrepreneurship, ran a services company in intellectual property rights. That's where this entire thing of marketing came through. And I said, oh, wow, this kind of fits, my research mindset, where I get to solve really, really challenging and unique problems for which maybe a solution doesn't exist. So it's a lot of fun. And marketing journey started around 2015, and I've been on the road with marketing since then, learned a lot, taught a lot. And I believe, one of the best ways you can learn is by teaching others, by letting others question you and your abilities. And that's what I was doing in what you said were those discourses, Just randomly go and share what you have learned with people, and they will come back and ask you very, very tough questions. And I'm so glad that all those interactions actually helped me hone my skill, hone my knowledge, and also touch upon areas which I was completely unaware of.
And the thing about these discourses were like, they were just such great learning experiences for me personally. And in the context of the work that I do, which is around education, and I also help startups and figure out problems. And I have a passion for marketing. I love marketing. I love communication. And I also am really upset, rather sad, with the way people think marketing is, So I've always found it sort of difficult to explain to people what marketing is, because people think marketing was sales, or people think marketing brings you business. And I think it'll be really nice for us to kind of start just attacking and uncovering what marketing means, maybe generally and maybe more specifically from a school point of view or from a college point of view, a higher education point of view. What do you think marketing is? And do you have some amazing stories to tell in terms of what expectations people had from you when they took you on as a marketing guy?
Okay, let me unpack that. What is marketing? Recorded history, I think, goes back 10,000 years. I'm
10,000 years?
Yeah, enough cave paintings are there. So at some point, I'm sure somewhere we will discover a man or a woman standing on top of a stone with a pouch in their hand, apparently preaching. I believe they were marketing. They were selling their snake oil or their best version of all-in-one cure. So marketing is not new. The term might be new. It's neither alien, it's neither developed in academia setting. It's a very organic, very natural thing to do. When you dress up nicely, for an event, you're not doing anything but marketing yourself. Of course, people call it advertising or, brand recognition or brand visibility, etc. When you wear a t-shirt like that with the big W on that, you're doing nothing but marketing yourself. It is a perception you are building amongst an audience. It's as simple as that. Now, you could be a timid mouse in your private life, but people perceive you to be a really loud, knowledgeable person because that's a perception you have built out there in the public life. And perception is everything. That's what marketing leverages. Of course, you can, over the ages, people have also unpacked this entire thing. Why do we behave the way we do? Why do we perceive the way we do? So there's a little bit of psychology ka tadka, there's branding, there is cultural nuances, there's competition, and so you have 20,000 terms for marketing today, from performance marketing to advertising to brand marketing to brand visualization, brand equity, branding itself by
Brand audit.
Oh,
Perception
we
mapping.
can go on and on and on and on. So there, it kind of deals with somebody who is going to buy something from you. How can you be the best choice for them?
And there's nothing wrong in marketing, right? Because at least in educational circles, schools, universities, colleges, people say, no, we don't want to market ourselves. If we are good, automatically people will come to us. People will know us by the service we provide.
If you are the only coffee shop on Mars, yes, every Martian will come to you. But the minute there are 10 coffee shops, people will judge you based on your lack of visibility or poor quality product. And again, that's a perception, right? There's a famous Pepsi versus Coca-Cola test where people could not identify which drink was which. It was purely by the label that the differentiation happened, right? People actually thought that this drink tastes different because there's a different label to it. So mind is the most powerful marketing engine there is. That is, my customer's mind is the most powerful marketing engine. And what I have to do is I have to hack their brains. And that is where marketing gets a bad rep. Marketing has been used to sell very nasty products. Propaganda machinery is all marketing. Be it ideological or political or, any kind of genocidal for that matter, right? Whenever you do propaganda for any kind of ideology, it is nothing but marketing. You're kind of changing perception. But it's been used for nasty things. But hey, this is the thing, right? Splitting an atom, you can make energy or you can make a bomb. It's a tool. Depends how you use it. Why does marketing get a bad rap? Everybody knows what marketing is. Everybody understands it inherently. How they explain it may differ. When you come to schools for that matter, right? We don't want to market ourselves. Because the perception internally is, if we market, and what are they thinking? They are thinking marketing is equal to advertising. Loud advertisements. Painting the town red with your banners and whatnot. They are not thinking of marketing as something as simple as telling people what you do for their kids. The point is missing. That's the reason when you say marketing, different audiences perceive it differently. If you go to a lawyer in India, say, I will do marketing for you, they will run away because legally,
They're not allowed to.
they're not allowed to market themselves.
Right, even doctors and CAs.
Yeah. But you tell them that I am calling you as a speaker to a conference. They will happily come, not recognizing that is also marketing. The reason marketing has so many terminologies is because different audiences, different professions, different religion, different cultures perceive it differently. So you have to marketing differently.
Yeah. I've come across school owners who've told me, Willy, humko marketing nahi karna hai. Because if I market myself, or rather the school owners who have lots of children in their school, they say, we don't market because we have lots of children. And the ones who are marketing need to market because they don't have children.
That's another perception, right? Okay, you are spending money because you can't get kids otherwise to get admission into your school, right? India being a unique ecosystem, you have more private schools than public, and the private schools are far, far superior and better than the public ones. Given all that, this perception, if you're spending money marketing, then you don't have the ability to attract kids with your curriculum, with your teachers, with your results that you're providing. But hey, how do you come to know of the results that a school is providing unless they publish that?
Yeah, so it's a fallacy. I think it's just a perception in that sense.
So rather than calling marketing, just talk about how would you like to get kids come and get admitted in your school on a steady basis, rather than that hassle of January to March. I think that's the three hottest month where everybody from the school, the boy who takes care of those things
Forms
to
and stuff, the peons.
the peons and the drivers to the principal. Everybody is busy making calls and spending money on these printed
brochures,
flyers and talking to the local newspaper vendor to put these flyers inside and throw it in the house. I mean, all that is marketing, but it's 3 months of high pressure, high intensity activity which distracts them from academic activities. That's their core. Marketing is not core for a school. They don't have a marketing team. They don't have a sales team. The teachers usually handle all this.
And I noticed that you just said sales team and marketing team. So we also need to kind of deep dive between the difference between.
It's a very simple thing, right? Let us say there are islands. You are on an island. Your customers are on another island. Marketing's job is to build a bridge from your island to your customer's island. That's it. The marketing doesn't know individual customers. They just know this is the island I need to reach. So this bridge is going to take your messages there, tell them good stories about you and things like that. But it's to the mass, to that island particularly. The sales team, on the other hand, will go to that island, meet individuals, talk to them, solve their problems, discuss what they want, and answer their objections.
Objection handling, no?
Sales is all about removing the no's. Yes will automatically come. Marketing is all about we exist and we are good for you.
Consider me.
Yes. Once you get into the consideration bucket, the sales teams can take over. Sales are more one-on-one activities. Marketing is one-to-many activity.
And a sales guy is not necessarily a marketing guy, and a marketing guy is not necessarily a sales guy.
True. And it is very evident because many marketing agencies fail miserably. And the reason they fail is that they assume marketing is enough. They don't know how to sell. Many, I mean, I would say a vast majority of marketers don't have the sales skill. They may develop it over years, but they don't inherently have that skill, and they don't train themselves in those skills either. And these are very, very, 180-degree type of skill, because one is where you are trying to figure out what is the psychology of
Which is the island.
Which is the island,
Yeah.
what is the best way to reach there, and who are those people, etc. And the other is individual conversation, one-on-one conversation where you have to, kind of remove all your biases.
Build connection, get them to...
It's a one-on-one conversation. It's a relationship. I mean, it's a basis of humanity, right? One-on-one relationship building. Marketers might find it exhausting because they're always analyzing this interaction. Oh, what did I gain out of it? What did I learn about this person, this community of people or this island of people? Whereas the salesperson is kind of suspending all judgments there. They are just approaching it as a conversation they can have because the other party showed some interest. So you have to wear different hats. Six thinking hats are actually marketing and sales hats are very different. And people confuse it.
So in a school setting or in a college setting, university setting, the marketing person is what? Like, you think the principal is kind of got to be the marketing person, and the admission counselor is perhaps a salesperson, or is it the principal is the salesperson and let's say the school trustees or promoters or whoever, the board of the school, is the marketing people? Like, is there any way to even think about that?
But 5 minutes ago, I made a statement, marketing is nothing but perception. Everything that is publicly visible is perception. So your principal, your school premises, your buses, the colors you use, how the teachers dress up, is it clean, unclean, dirty, untidy? How comfortable do you make a parent who walks into the school? Are you greeting them, or are you being rough and tough and scruff with them? Are the parents actually guided to somebody somewhere? Every one of these things is building a perception. So everything is marketing. And I'm talking particularly in a school setup. Do not confuse this with another setup like a restaurant, because restaurant primarily is the food at the end of the day. Everything else matters, of course, but the food is 90% of marketing.
And they say that's hygiene factor, right? The main thing that your business is supposed to provide is supposed to be good. In that sense.
So in a school setup, you will not know how well the kid is doing till a year is gone by. Of course, you have these term exams and tests and all that to see the progress. But the final result is after a year, okay, did they do well in that particular curriculum? And maybe after 12 years or 13 years or 15 years of education is when you really know, was there any use of this entire education? Because a kid is employable, not employable, he is completely wastrel or not. So all these factors come into play only after that long. So you're talking about a long cycle. Therefore, the trust the parent needs to have when they're sending their kid to your school is very high. That relationship cannot start in the first 3 months. where the admission season starts. No, it starts much, much earlier. I can give you an example, a personal example. When I had to get my kid admitted in a school, I inquired all around the neighborhood. Where did you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? I visited 8 different schools. One of my limiting criteria was it has to be within this much distance from house. I don't want the kid to travel a lot, given the traffic conditions in Bangalore. So, given that, I selected these many schools, went to the premises. Do they have a playground? Do they have a curriculum where activities, co-curricular activities, etc., are encouraged or not? So all these were factors, but that was not a decision-making factor. This was just a selection criteria. Final decision happened because I went around my neighborhood talking to my neighbors, and their kids have studied in these schools for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, and then talked to those kids because they were the consumers, not their parents. When I spoke to my neighborhood kids, I realized, okay, there is a difference between this school and that school. And there were 2 schools where the teachers tend to jump from one to another over years. So it didn't matter whether you send them here or there. I decided to send her to the nearest school that was there. Right? So, okay. See, the decision-making criteria had nothing to do with what the school sent in a flyer. In fact, I had like 50 different flyers from schools, different schools. I didn't bother because my criteria was very set. But the decision-making happened because word of mouth, customer feedback. At the end of the day, the perception your company, your school is building, either you actively build it or somebody else passively builds it. All it requires is saying that the teachers have beat up a child in the school, maybe a false news. And you see how fast that reputation takes a beating. So this reputation management is a little more advanced topic, I would say, because it's a little slightly different thing. But
I'm just zapped. I'm zapped because after going to so many schools, getting so many brochures and all the work that they do behind brochures and flyers, if still people don't want to read it and then base their decisions on very set criterias, it is even more important for schools and higher education institutes like colleges and universities to be able to access the right kind of parent. So I don't even now think that it is any parent. If I have 200 admission seats open, it should not be any 200. It has to be the right set of 200. People who align with my school's vision, align with my school's. What do you think about that? And I'm thinking marketing will then help me set my communication.
In terms of education, right? Let's say schools, right? India and schools. The fee structure sets up one barrier to entry. If you're a school which charges 10,000 rupees a year versus a school which charges 5 lakh rupees a year, immediately you have set yourself apart, right? One school, a lot of people, the common public will approach it. But the other school where the fees is much, much higher, a select crowd of people can afford that. Right? And those parents are fairly aspirational. Therefore, if you want to send your kid to such a expensive quote-unquote school, the school better match those expectations. You cannot say, you know what, your kid is going to come here from this time to this time. We don't have any co-curricular activities. We don't have a playground. We have a school building which has like shabby paint and everything is peeling off. The desks are adjustable. They wobble a little. But pay us this much money. It will not match. What you're asking for and what you're selling doesn't match there. So if your ask is going to be a very high premium fees, then you better match up the facilities. That's a visible thing, right? These are the facilities we are providing. Just imagine how good our teachers are going to be.
So one makes that assumption that based on the facilities.
Perception, right?
And what I was thinking was like from education marketing perspective, right? Everyone is now thinking digital marketing, especially after COVID. People have started thinking like, we need to go digital. And seldom do I see a strategy in that digital. I don't see them doing, schools doing strategy. It'll be really nice to unpack and have some discussions around that in terms of your school. If you're a school owner, standalone school owner, not like part of a franchisee or anything, what could be some of the things that you should be thinking about, you should be considering, you should be approaching? Those kind of things would be interesting too.
So whenever I think of marketing, creating a strategy, building any of this, I always look at the limiting criteria or constraints, as they call it. There's something called a theory of constraints in engineering.
Gold rat. LIU gold rat.
But there is always a constraint around which you have to work. For example, if I had complete freedom and you had said, hey, you know what? I have a brand. This is a school. Market it. I would say, is there a building? You would say, no buildings. It's all going to be virtual. Right? Oh, fantastic. Then it's a complete freedom, right? You can set it up any which way you want to. But what is the limiting criteria for a school or a college for that matter? There is a campus. There's a premise within which that education will be imparted, within which you will be taught. Therefore, people have to come to the school, which means there is a journey to be undertaken, which means
there's a radius.
Distance becomes a limiting criteria. Right? If the school is in outskirts of the city, reaching there is going to be very, very difficult. That becomes a limiting factor. So you have to see population centers and you have to see what fees are you asking for. Does this population center have sufficient population or sufficient number of consumers, that is students or kids, who can consume what you're offering at that price point?
And you call that an addressable market?
It is, you call it anything, very simple, right? I have a school building bang in the middle of the city and all around me are slums and I'm charging them $20,000. It's not going to happen. Right?
No matter how much you market and no matter how...
So people have to come from outside of that radius, which is going to be incredibly difficult. Either you have a residential school or you don't have a school there. So what is happening now is, what am I selling? Marketing is not about the product. It's about the consumer. See, when I was talking about the constraint, I did not say what color the building was, how tall the building was. I said there's the premise, and where is that premise located, and what is the ticket size? That how much are you selling that seat for matters, because that's what the consumer cares about. We start there. Okay, this is a constraint. Now you want to go digital. What is digital? Digital is all the various types of tools you have. What can you address with digital? People say everything. I disagree, because there are certain...
You know how they do digital? Most schools, they take whatever they ask their printer to print, they say, uska JPG file bhejo mujhe. And then they post that on Facebook and they say, this is digital marketing.
Right. In a way it is, but then it is not. See, again, right? I mean, you can hold the elephant by its tail and say, I have held the elephant, right? I've hugged the elephant. But it's blind man and elephant. And everybody has their own definition of an elephant. So when it comes to digital, you can do a few things. You can do outreach. That is, you can reach the right audience, brand visibility, whatever you want to call it. People know you exist, number one. Number two, drive them to consideration, in the sense, build enough trust in them, saying that, okay, this is something I should consider for my kids' future. That is consideration, right? Through various channels, various mediums. And I wouldn't say the digital is in isolation, it will work. You have to work it with that audience. Now, if the audience, if the parents that you're going to reach out to are not savvy at all, they still like to consume their stuff on magazines and newspapers, then you better go that way. Do not force yourself to become digital if your consumers are not savvy. If you are really high-end school where all the parents have secretaries and personal assistants, and those are the people who take care of their communication, no point sending emails upon emails to them to market, because the secretary will just delete the email. Right? You have to be very, very, very thorough in understanding who your consumers are, because the decision maker there is the parent, consumer is the kid, doesn't matter. The parent has absolute rights to make that decision up to a certain age. So then the second question, are you selling these seats to kindergarten kids or to kids who are going to 10th standard, higher secondary, etc.? Suddenly, there is co-decision makers involved. It's not going to be the parent alone. The kid has a say in it. A tiny tot has no say in it. Where the parent drops him or her, they're happy there, right? I mean, they want to play. So you need to see the decision-making criteria. What is the, as you say, customer journey, right? I mean, journey the customer takes, again, right? There are two customer journeys, but this journey is the decision-making journey. Then there's a user journey.
Oh,
which is different.
User journey is different, huh?
Different, of course. It's apps and all that, how they use something. But let's say the decision-making journey itself, who's involved, who all are involved, where all the inputs come from. Can you influence every point of input? Okay, too much gyan, but then digital means understanding, and marketing means mapping all this and seeing what's the best way to reach all these people. Then, customer support. If your teachers are constantly interrupted by phone calls from your parents, from the parents of the kids, continuous basis, they are not going to be able to do their job. If you are going to hire a full-time person internally to just answer phone calls from parents, they are going to quit within a week because the number of inquiries will be infinite. That's where you can use messaging systems. That's where you can use support systems, bots, chat bots. If the parent is just asking, hey, I want my kid's attendance report, click a button and you have access to it. Or apps for that matter, right? School has an app and the parent can click the app and
This all starts from empathy, I feel. Like when a school owner or the school principal, school management deeply care for the parents and want them to save time and want to help them, they start thinking of as many options as possible. Do you think?
I see empathy is important, and it has been tom-tommed about a lot by
Because
a lot
on
of
the other hand, a lot of institution schools, they'll make you wait for 6 hours. They'll say out of the door. Everything is very structured, very regimented, and they say this is the way it works. They've normalized that.
So, in a business environment, if you do not connect emotions with the balance sheet, you cannot really help people make those decisions. Why should I have that empathy? Why should I not make the parent wait for 6 hours because I only have one poor chap roaming around helping the parents? I have an excuse. But on the other hand, if I say, if the parent does not have to visit the school and they get these things in hand on their phone, they are more likely to recommend your school to other parents. They are more likely to show off this to other parents. Look at my kid's school, look at the app, look at this.
The brag value.
There's a brand value being built. Forget empathy for a minute. You're going to save a lot of money, time, and effort managing these parents. It's become self-serve. You may not have to hire 3 people in your premises to manage this person or these set of people. You also get a lot of information back. What type of questions are parents asking? Where can you improve? So your improvement cycles are not 1 year long, they are weeks old. Your profitability goes up. Your operational metrics improve overall. Your teachers perform better. They can focus on things they need to focus on rather than trying to placate a parent who's upset because they had to wait for an hour. The way to sell...
Teachers become the victims on the other end then.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to handle irate parents or customers.
They're not trained to do that.
Yeah.
So
They're not trained to do that.
at the end of the day, a school is a business, right? It is there to, of course, do good to the society.
Business, yeah.
It's doing good for the society and it's earning money. If it was completely charitable, somebody has to pay money. Given that situation, everything has to be measured in terms of improvement of the business. And if you can do that, if you can say in terms of money, effort, time, stress, the principal is stressed out because there's so many complaints, so much issue. Staff meetings are filled with what a parent did or what a kid did not do. Instead, if staff meetings were filled with, we are seeing a lot of parents asking for attendance reports. There seemed to be some concern there. Let us address that. That meeting is a solution-oriented meeting than a problem-oriented meeting. And that shifts the pattern. It automatically shifts the quality of the school because teachers are so
You just
enrolled.
hit the nail there because all meetings in school, I feel, are reactive meetings out of problems that the loudest parent created.
Yes, that will not go away 100%. Digital is not going to take care of. But then you can reduce the volume.
And then on the same schools are then asking, how can we be innovative? How can we be creative? How can we do things? It's just that I guess people are not setting time for that. They're not saying that, hey, these meetings are about creating solutions. These meetings are about making things better. Even if parents are not complaining about one particular thing. Something we noticed, this is a trend, this is an insight. Is there something we can change?
Again, terms, right? Creative, innovative, much abused. And I would say defined as per somebody's wishes. If I were to think of it very simply, creativity is sparked by something. Right? You need a spark. Now, if you're overwhelmed with flood of information, flood of negativity, that spark doesn't come. That gets extinguished. You need that freedom of mind, that you need the flow. There's a famous book called Flow. You need to be in flow to even recognize these patterns. Recognition of these patterns can only come then. So, therefore, forget creativity, innovation, etc. Can you safeguard your time to do the things that you really love doing? Automatically, everything else starts falling into place. See, the currency of digital marketing is not money, it's time. What the company saves on is time, invests on is time. I can invest this quality time doing A, B, C, D instead of X, Y, Z that I used to spend on. Because this entire thing has been taken off, parked into a algorithm, and there are people to manage this now. Saving of time automatically improves the business. Businesses that have micromanaging managers or bosses do not flourish because everybody is stressed out all the time. They don't have time to manage their time. So you move out of the way, go on a vacation, the company will automatically flourish because people will not expect you to answer their questions, they will figure it out. Human beings are not hired for their hands and legs, they are hired for their brains, especially in knowledge service industries like schools and colleges, etc. All kinds of consultancy. So why are you not allowing them to use their most important asset, which is their brain? And why are you not safeguarding that most important asset from irate parents or administrative tasks? Another place where digital comes handy is these administrative tasks. Customer management, perception build-up, marketing as they call it, student enrollment, attendance management. All these can be digitized to such a large extent that instead of carrying around a register and ticking and somebody having bad handwriting, things can be entered with a press of a button. Makes life easy. Of course, there's the other side of a problem which most people don't recognize, which is called over-engineering digital.
Acha.
Oh yeah, you know what? I don't want my teachers to carry that phone and press that button. I want to hang a tag on each and every student so that when they enter the classroom, it beeps and I know the student is in the class, right? And then when they exit the classroom, I know they have exited the class. I think it's over-engineering.
It's tech for the sake of tech, right?
Because the user there is a kid, he or she will tag it onto their friends and one kid is entering with 35 tags and okay, everybody is present, but nobody can be seen, So you have to be very conscious about what problems you're solving with digital,
I remember this lovely statement that you said that marketing goals are different from business goals, and marketing goals are based on something and business goals are focused on something, are targeted towards something. And most schools and colleges think that every time they talk to a marketing consultant or marketing person, somebody who's a strategist in marketing, they should say, "Kitna admission layega? How many admissions will you bring me?" And it'll be nice to know your views on this, and if you can even kind of uncover that for me.
Marketing goals have to coexist within business goals, not outside of them. There cannot be a marketing department outside of a business, right? It's within the business. So let's say a school says, I have a capacity to absorb 1,200 kids every year. I need those many kids to join my school every year. That's an ongoing activity and you have been doing successfully every single year. So why should I spend more money to get more kids? Think of it differently. You're not spending more money to get more kids. You're spending money so that you do not have to put that much effort in January to March time to get kids. You get a steady pipeline of people sending you inquiries and these people will keep coming to you through the year. Of course, they will finally get admitted at that point of time, but you can also streamline the admission process by having a lot of digital mechanisms in place. So if a business goal is 1,000 students, marketing's goal is to find 50,000 people who are interested in that school because there's a funnel, right? Of course, the industry understands, B2B industry understands this really well. There's something called as a sales pipeline or a sales funnel. It's a funnel because at the top of the funnel, you have hundreds of people who are interested. At the bottom of the funnel, you have 2-3 people who buy. Not everybody who window shops becomes a customer. Schools are also like that.
And it's across all industries, huh?
Across all industry. It's human nature to have options.
So when they say numbers is a myth, that's not necessarily true.
Numbers is not a myth. Numbers are not visible. That's why you don't have the whole picture. if I make it visible to you that 100,000 people inquired about your school,
Wow.
but only 100 people joined, then you know something is wrong somewhere. That is when the business can take an action saying that, hey, you know what? Maybe my business goal of 1,000 students per year is slightly misguided, because that's a very straightforward goal, but there are other factors that determine that goal. For example, my competitors. For example, my perception amongst parents. Why is it that 100,000 parents have inquired and only 100 have joined up? Where are the rest? Something is happening in between. Where are they going? They have a need. It's not like they are going to wait for another 2 years to make their kid join the school, right?
Oh, come June, everyone's in school.
Everyone has to be in school. So where have they gone? And why have they gone to other places and not come here? In colleges, I have this interesting thing. I worked with a few colleges, helped them out. The question they asked is, we get so many inquiries, but only few admissions. Why is it that? And it's a struggle through the year. I'm like, if you're getting so many inquiries, where have these people gone? Can you find out? It's a simple enough thing. Take, for example, all the colleges, after 5 years, these kids are out there, they have a job, right? Whether they did well or not is secondary. They have a job. So we just went to LinkedIn, found the name of every single student who had applied or inquired over the past 10 years, right? 5 plus 5. So 10 years ago to 5 years ago, and found where all they are. And 70% of the people chose not to join that stream of studies itself.
So it's got nothing to do with the institution per se.
It was to do with what the field was all about, right? Let's say it was about cinematography, but these students decided to go and study in visual communications, for example. Right? So there's a perception mismatch. They did not understand what this field stands for. Once they came to the college, inquired, figured out what this is, then they realized this is not what I want to do. 30% of the students went to other institutes, premier institutes. Then why did they inquire here? Oh, you know what? Those premier institutes' exams and their results come out around the time our admissions start. So they apply everywhere, but they choose the better institute, which is cheaper, government supported, or is most prestigious, etc. There you go. But the college did not know what happened. Why is it that so many inquiries and no students? But with this one data point, it was very clear. And there were patterns, of course. We could recognize a lot of patterns. That these type of students are more likely to join than those type of students. So spend your effort on these type of students who meet certain criteria. Those, if they are really interested, will anyway come in. Otherwise, they will not. Suddenly, what has happened is you're not going after 50,000 people. Teachers are not calling 50,000, making 50,000 calls. They're making 10,000 calls or 5,000 calls. Because the chances are higher here. So you can be aspirational, saying that this is what I want to do, but data dictates what actually happens on ground.
So for a school owner, or for a school principal, they understand data in terms of annual reports, exam, progress report, stuff like that. They are not very clear about what kind of data, what kind of metrics should be looked at when it comes to marketing or communications or business development. Is there anything at the top of the mind that comes to you? Like, one thing for me is my bounce rate. Number of inquiries versus number of people who came to my school versus number of people who took the admission form versus number of people who brought the admission form back versus number of people who took the admission versus number of people who actually joined during the day versus number of people who left in the first 6 months. And maybe, is there any metrics or anything like that? I just put a couple of things out there.
These are metrics that are very, very visible because these are touch points with the school.
But I still don't get it, by the way, in my own school. It's so difficult.
It will be difficult. You have to set up the systems to get that. But what you really don't know is how many people have seen your message. You have no idea of that. How visible are you as a school? How many people know about you? Are parents talking about you to their peers? Are they telling their neighbors send their kids to your school? You have no idea about it, and you have not built a communication mechanism to do that. It's not 100% an accurate, measurable thing.
Like today, if you ask me, my personal school, how many people in my area is talking about my school, I don't know.
It's a very simple thing. Reverse the process. I really love the retail business, where you put in a shop of a famous brand. Let's say you want to put up a shop of a Gucci or a Burberry. I mean, these are very, very high-end brand for Indian consumer, of course. How do you decide where do you put the brand? In India, many retail shops, that's a mid-market segment retail shop, right? I mean, middle-class segment retail shops, right? Which are Mochis and your Peter England shirts and all that. They decide this by footfall. They'll go to an area and see what is the footfall. About 2.5 lakh to 5 lakh footfall is what is expected by various different brands. They will also see what type of neighborhood is it. Is it upper class, lower class, middle class, slum? What type of neighborhood is it, right? That's why you don't see Gucci shops next to the slums. You will see them in very, very high-end malls or business centers next to them or across them. The reason that a retail shop is put in a place is because it meets the criteria of that brand. Right? So do they really know how many people will come into the store? No. They know that there is a footfall of 3 lakh people in a week or in a day or in a month, whatever that criteria be, right? In this particular location. We have 100 more businesses here. Divided by this number, we will assume that this many people will see our stuff. That's why you have window shoppers. That's why you have large displays. There is a reason. And the reason is very simple. You know the customers are crossing by, therefore they will see the shop, they will likely enter, browse. A percentage of them will buy. And over and above this, that brand, it's a brand, right? It's a national chain probably. They are marketing themselves on TV, radio, newspaper, etc. It's a company level marketing, not that store level marketing. So they have a sale on Diwali, post Diwali, pre Diwali. It is across all the stores across the country or southern India, and that store happens to benefit from that.
Which means they know where to place themselves. They are going to where the market is. They are going to where the audience is.
Now reverse it in the
school setting or a college setting.
Yeah, in a school setting, flip
because
this.
Where the customers are, real estate is probably the most expensive.
Potentially.
Hence, you might be outpricing yourself. So
Not
is
just
there
that.
some difference in...
Not just that.
Okay.
Schools don't have something called as a brand loyalty. I'll tell you why.
Schools don't have?
Okay. Customers don't purchase from a school again and again. I enter a school, I exit the school, I'm out. I'm not going back to the schooling system anymore.
But I thought that was brand loyalty. The fact that the customer was staying with me for 7 years.
That is okay. I mean,
That is
that's
one way of brand
I mean, you can say, they have stayed with you. I mean, they are not repeat purchaser. Okay, they may not change.
But
school.
we don't know if they were loyal, in a way of speaking.
What I'm saying is, they are not repeat purchasers. They are repeat purchasers in terms of graduating from one class to another, and it's convenient, and they're not
second child, third child.
Yeah. Now the second child, third child, are they coming to the same school? We don't know.
We don't know.
Right? So in terms of a school, can you flip this model? Retail store is put in a place where the crowd is already there. They don't have to go anywhere. The crowd is coming to them. And the crowd knows about the brand. That's why they stop. School is put in a place. The crowd doesn't come. So you go to the crowd. You go to the crowd. And the assumption is this. If you put an ad out there, flyer out there, WhatsApp message out there, whatever it is, right? If you put educational programs on YouTube, if you put stuff on LinkedIn, for that matter, most parents, most working parents are on LinkedIn. I have not seen a single school do anything on LinkedIn so far. Why? I've seen colleges because they are trying to hunt for executive education programs. But then, why is a school not putting stuff out there on LinkedIn where your customers are sitting? It's utter foolishness not to do that. And will a parent not promote that school stuff if their kid studies in the school? If it's something nice, cute, let's say kindergarten, something cute the kids did, the program was there, something, the parents would love it. Everybody loves kids and kittens. Right? So why are you not there? That's where your market is sitting. It doesn't make sense for you to go to Instagram and do TikTok dances and all that because that's very young crowd. Again, right? Know where your market is. Hey, but I am in a location where most of the people, most of the parents have money, but they're uneducated, unsophisticated. Fantastic. But they still get information. They still are part of the society. They still read. They still listen to people. Why is your message not in front of them? And how do you take it in front of them?
This whole thing is about being seen and being heard. And that is so
Whole
critical.
thing is being relevant to the customer in the place they are most comfortable listening to you and on the channels that they consume. So that's why I say, as a marketer, I have a tough line to walk. My client is not the company or the school. My client is the end customer. And the school hates me for that. Because I understand the customer. I come back and say, you have to improve these things. The school says, no, we pay you. You listen to us.
And that is where we need to really understand that we have to be like a kind of a product first, service first, customer first mentality, and then backward design the entire processes, reverse engineer it.
You know what?
And get a lot of real qualitative changes done.
I really love what Henry Ford said. If you had asked people what they wanted for transportation, they would have said a faster horse.
Yeah.
So there is a dichotomy there, right? I mean, you need to listen to the market, but you also need to have that skill to make your own judgment, saying that I'm doing something new and unique. The market will appreciate it because I'm solving a problem.
You need to make a new model that makes the old one obsolete, right?
Do not purely take the customer on what they say. Observe what they do, their behavior, their speech is easy. I can say anything I want to, but what I do, my behavior, my day-to-day routine, my activities, how I present myself, how I talk about something else to somebody else matters more. So the ability to parse this voice and the noise the customer makes, figuring out what is relevant and what is not, and which is a skill by itself, and taking the pieces which will really lead you to improve the customer experience is what a marketer should actually do. Advertising, promoting, putting your island in front of the customer, I think is been done for ages now. People have the skills to do it. It's easy. Or rather say it's skilled, right? But it's doable. What is very difficult is taking the message you get here, filtering it, taking it back to your island, saying that these are the things that will really make a different impact to the customer, therefore to the business. So the business's goals are bottom line, top line. The marketer's goal are how does the customer impact change the bottom line and top line. So it's a back and forth for the marketer. And that's where it gets defeated. Digital marketing as an industry is digging a deep hole for itself because of this reason. They do not understand marketing.
Yeah.
They understand digital, they understand tools, they understand advertising, but marketing is a lot more involved. There are a lot of nuances there.
So I think, Anoop Kurup, for all the schools and universities and school owners and people who have invested so much money building great institutions and want to get out there and take their services out to more and more people, I think we should have conversations with them. They should get in touch with us because we would love to solve this problem, right? Because I just feel that if schools and colleges are doing really good work and if they don't have a voice or if they don't have that sort of agency, but they have the intention, then, as a marketer, myself and you as a marketer, I think I really feel called to help them go out there and make sure that more and more children, more and more parents find them and benefit from the good work that they're doing.
I would say there is also another intention here, right? If we can reduce the time teachers spend on all the non-teaching activities and actually are stress-free,
Yeah.
that is something we can achieve with the tools, techniques, technology available today. And I think, I'm open to that. It's a very interesting
awesome
proposal.
Amazing. Thank you so much for unbundling all that. I'm sure so many school leaders and principals who I personally know are going to watch this and they're going to learn so much from this. And I really hope that we've sparked them to start thinking about their own customer journeys and bringing their school, to become the best school on their street. That's important.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Thank you,
for
Anoop.